Welcome to Sister Scoop, where we are giving you guys the top 3 Marvel news topics of the week. We have some good ones coming out this week. The first being, we not only have the first Daredevil Born Again Season 2 poster, we not only have the first, or the official release date of Daredevil Born Again Season 2, but we also have the first trailer of Daredevil Born Again Season 2.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of content. The drop of the teaser yesterday was so unexpected. I was taking a little social break and I was like, "What?" It is a little weird that they did it on the day that Wonder Man was premiering. I was like,
Yeah.
that's why I was like, this is today. Like, this is an odd choice to like be moving into promo for that already. But other than that, I was thrilled to, see the trailer. I think it looks incredible. It looks kind of trippy, which is interesting. I don't know if it's like the way they cut it, but I'm so excited. I mean, the teaser looks amazing. The posters have been awesome. I'm thrilled that it's a little bit later in March that it's coming out for personal reasons. So, all good things around Daredevil.
Yeah, I also was a little shocked because, to your point, literally the day Wonder Man is coming out, obviously people are going to be watching that later in the evening when it drops and throughout the next couple days. So it was a little interesting not to really give it its moment to like breathe before they were like, here's Daredevil.
Yeah.
Um, but obviously no complaints from us other than the fact that we're excited it's coming. Like we
Yeah.
don't have any real complaints. I think it looks good. I think it's interesting. Obviously, I think we all knew Jessica Jones. Like, I mean, she was confirmed to be in it. I was a little shocked how like they were like, here she is in the trailer. So that really threw me off a little bit. Like, I was like, okay, if they're showing us some of this stuff, what aren't we seeing from this
Right.
season?
Right.
Yeah.
That was my thought because you're right. Like they brought her out, I think at one of the cons. Was it NYCC? She was like on the panel with the rest of the cast. Or it might have been SCCC. Anyway, it doesn't matter. She was out there like talking about how she's gonna be in the show. So to your point, like it was not a surprise to anybody, but she is really prevalent. So, if you're gonna take the trailers at face value, it could be that she's in this from like the back half of episode 1 or episode 2. I think the other thing to think about is like, is there a small time jump here? Because there seems to be some stuff going on in this trailer that doesn't exactly match up with where we left things off at the end of season 1. Seems like
Yeah.
quite a bit of time has passed. So I'll be curious if they do like a 6 or 9 month time jump. I don't think they'll go to fully a year because that's a lot of time. But I think maybe 6 or 9 months could be kind of where we pick up after the end of what we saw in the first season.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I also think knowing where we left last season with the rallying of the troops, if you will, I think it definitely makes sense that it seems that life, I don't want to say life is progressing because, like, that's not the right thing to say, but like, you could tell this isn't exactly where we just were.
Yeah.
You could tell that ominous feeling and the things that kind of were going about that we were. I mean, let's not forget, New York is essentially a police state now. Like, we clearly are not fully like right after it happened. Obviously, we're gonna have the ramifications. That's the whole point of this season. But yeah, I do think that there's probably a little bit of a time jump, which makes sense. I think you kind of have to establish where they are a little further down the line. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to get more content as it comes out because if this is what they released first, like there's gonna be so much good stuff coming.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. There's so many things that you could just like break down from the trailer alone that we don't have time to do right here. But the things I'm seeing people point out online, because it made me go back and like watch it multiple times because I was like, oh wait, I missed that. Like, and now I have to see what that reference was or that character that I totally didn't see that's supposed to be dead that was in the trailer. If you haven't seen it, you should probably check that out because I didn't see that the first time and I was like, oh, okay, gotta go back.
Yeah. Yep. So I think it'll be good. It's exciting that they dropped it. Lots of good things coming because I think Daredevil is one of those that I think a lot of people were excited about this year.
Yeah.
But speaking about another Disney Plus show, we have to have another update that is completely contradictory of our last update on the show. So within literal days of finding out that we supposedly were getting a Hawkeye season 2 where Kate would be the main character, it sounds like we're not getting a Hawkeye season 2 at all. Period. The end.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck is going on in the Hawkeye camp right now, but basically a producer on the show who I believe is worked on Wonder Man, which is why they're being interviewed right now, has basically said, yeah, like we're not doing season 2. They really blamed it on, and I'm using quotes here because I think it's important, timing, but not timing in terms of like the actors' availability, timing in terms of like where the MCU is going, the beats that they want to hit, and then trying to fit this show in. The article I was reading was pointing out, obviously we have Doomsday, we have Secret Wars. Kate's supposed to be getting set up for Champions, Young Avengers, whatever they call that.
Yeah.
So it would be a lot to kind of try to squeeze that in, especially because we know she's already had on the champion side, we know she's already had contact with Kamala. So like that ball is already rolling. So I get it. I do. It is a little bit of a bummer though, because I think there were some loose ends in terms of like the actual official mantle transference there that was like a little muddy. They kind of left that open ended. So maybe it'll get covered in a line at some point, like a throwaway line. But yeah, that one's a little bit of a bummer because I liked that show a lot.
Yeah, I did too, and I do agree. I think they didn't really write Clint off.
Yeah.
Which I think at the time we were like, well, maybe he'll kind of mentor the next generation. I think it makes a lot of sense for him to kind of step into that role. Obviously we don't know what that's going to look like and if they're even going to go that direction. We are so far removed from that show and when it took place in the MCU that it is really hard to kind of really you're pretty much comparing apples to oranges of where we were and where we are. Like it just doesn't really fit anywhere, and I'm not even sure his character being a mentor at this point fits. Like we haven't seen him since that moment. I just don't really know if it makes sense. It is disappointing because to Taylor's point, like we really like the show. I
Yeah.
have been hoping we get another season, even if it did lead into a Champions project or something like that. It would be nice to have that segue. I think it'd make a lot more sense to kind of wrap it up in that way. The main two protagonists, if you will, were probably the only two that I don't feel like have the most wrapped up storylines.
Yeah.
So, oh well, I guess maybe next
for the
week.
fans.
Yeah, I mean, maybe next week it'll be back on the board. I don't know. This seems to be an up and down kind of thing with Hawkeye specifically. So we will have to kind of just wait and see. I'm not going to take this one as like a period, full stop, end of sentence statement because, quite frankly, with this show, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, next week we might have a different story, or if it's not next week, it's next year. You never know. Like, we'll be done covering it probably for now, but probably not forever.
Yeah. And on that note, as we yell out into the void about Hawkeye, we're going to talk about Secret Wars because it would be remiss of us to pretty much have a Sister Scoop episode where we're not talking about Doomsday and or Secret Wars news.
Of course.
But it sounds like, and now I agree with this, it sounds like Secret Wars is going to be split into 2 movies. So instead of our typical, and I say typical, guys, we did it one time. I know. But like instead of like what we're used to where we had Infinity War Endgame, obviously they set up Doomsday and Secret Wars to do the same thing. It kind of now seems like it's more so going to be a 3-parter to the end of this saga rather than being just the 2 movies themselves.
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts here. I ultimately I'm excited about the fact that they're like, and I just want to take a step back. This has not been confirmed. The studio is considering splitting it. They have not made a final determination on whether or not that's the route they're going to go. I think, and I've said this a lot of times, Secret Wars is one of the few comics I've actually sat down and read, because when they confirmed it, I was like, well, I want to know what they're talking about. And then I sat and read like the whole issue in one sitting because it was so good. But I've just read like the main Secret Wars storyline. There are so many, like, if Secret Wars is the trunk of the tree, there are so many branch stories of characters who are in Secret Wars but are having all these other conflicts and adventures for how they come into that final battle and things like that. So I say all that to say there's a lot of content just in the comics called Secret Wars outside of like the main Doctor Doom storyline. So they're not going to be, at any loss for content here. I think one of the things that concerned me though about this conversation is they we're saying there's kind of two schools of thought. Some people are saying, oh, they'll decide before they start shooting whether or not they're going to do 2 or they're going to do 1. Other quote unquote insiders, whatever you want to call them, have been saying that they're going to wait and see how Doomsday performs before they actually make this determination, which that would be like, if they start later this year, that'd be like in the middle of filming. And I just feel like they have not pivoted well at all in this saga. Like, I don't know how much they were doing it in phases 1 through 3, but 4 through 6, it has been very transparent where they've stumbled, where they've pivoted. And honestly, most of the pivots have been in the wrong direction or just really hastily scrabbled together. I just don't have the confidence that they're going to be able to like pull that off if they don't go into it with that like plan in mind. I'm so scared of the lack of planning.
Yeah, I'm going to take a step back because while I don't disagree, I think the other thing that I want to kind of throw out on the table to consider is rumor also has it that Doomsday is going to be close to 3 hours, if not an over 3 hour long movie. Having that knowledge as we have this conversation, I do wonder if maybe that's a little bit of the reasoning, because if that movie's going to be long, maybe there's the thought process of if it's already, you know, a little bit up in the air with the fans, as we know Doomsday is. Everybody's trying to watch it, but like I've already seen plenty of people who are like, I haven't seen anything since WandaVision. Like, what am I even going to be watching in Doomsday?
Yeah.
So,
well, hey, it might not even matter because it might just be a direct sequel to, you know, Endgame anyway. So maybe you didn't need to watch all the stuff.
Right.
We'll
maybe the past saga is just whatever. Yeah. You know, why'd we do this for the past, 4 or 5 years anyway? But I do know, because I've been seeing a lot of that, and so like there's already a little bit of trepidation versus there's also now this time factor. And now Endgame was long, but not that long. So I do wonder.
Felt long.
Yeah.
Those first 30 to 45 minutes felt long.
Yep. Yeah. But that being said, I do wonder if there's a little bit of that to wonder, like, are people going to make it through the 3 hours? And is that some of the reasoning why? And now that's me playing like they're thinking about us and they're going to make a strategic choice based off of whether people really are going to sit down and watch a 3 hour long movie, or if it makes more sense for them to do 2 different ones. I don't know if that's going to be true, but that's what I'd like to think. So I do want to throw that out there, that that's kind of the case. I do think Secret Wars in general should be split. I'm not sitting down for a 4 hour movie. So for the love of God, split it in 2. I'll go 2 weeks in a row. I'll go 2 days in a row. I don't care. I can walk out of one theater and go watch the next one. I don't care. Let me get up, let me pee, let me do my thing, let me get more popcorn, let me get more icy, let me like reorient myself with the world outside, a little bit of time on the socials to react with everybody, and then I'll walk back into the next theater. I don't care. But like,
well, that was my concern, is like, how far apart are the theoretical Secret Wars 1 and 2?
I don't think much. I do not think they'd make us wait a year because of there's already talk about, hey guys, another news thing that we didn't have a chance to cover but going to throw out there. There's already been talk that the first X-Men movie will begin filming around the same time, Secret Wars will be moving into the X-Men phase. I actually don't think they would make us wait another year. I don't think they'd have it.
Wow, look at you bringing in a bonus piece of news today.
2,
it was a hefty movie week, or news week this week.
It was.
Had trouble, like, she sent me like Katie sent me like 6 articles or 5 articles, and that was before the Daredevil trailer dropped, and I was like, how are we gonna pick the news? So lots of bonus. But I don't know. I just, for the love of God, like, my concern is just pick your lane before you start filming, because them trying to like rework this whole thing in the middle of that is like so heavily concerning to me.
Let's not forget though that Infinity War and Endgame were filmed at the same time.
But they were all like, that's fine. That you can film them at the same time. They were always concepted as 2 separate movies. So yes, they were filmed at the same time, but everybody knew going into that, and the way that they did it, that it was 2 movies. I'm saying they
didn't know that, like, the actors and stuff themselves were just following, like, they didn't know where the cuts were going to be. They didn't know. So to be fair, there is the ability to do it without necessarily having to have that decision made since day one.
Right, but like I guess my thought is like if you're looking at a 3-hour movie, they're not going to just cut it into like 2 1.5-hour movies. They're going to add more stuff, right? So like that's where I'm getting concerned is like how are scripts changing as they're adding different elements and removing elements because it's now 2 films instead of 1. Like when they went into Infinity War and Endgame, they were like these are 2 films. And
Can
like,
I say something?
What?
You're overthinking this.
I'm not. Okay, other people have been pointing this out.
Yet. We don't have any confirmation whether they're going one way or the other, and
that's
so you're
fine.
overthinking
I'm saying my
where
concern,
you're at right now.
No, it is. I'm not overthinking it because other people are also saying this online. My concern is if they go into it without a firm plan. Like I understand
that's fine,
they
but we
decided.
haven't started filming Secret Wars, so as of right now, that's something out of our control. I mean,
all of it's out of our control.
Let's
like,
be real.
What do you think I'm doing? Calling up the Russo brothers and being like,
okay,
make
it's
your
all
mind
out of
before
our
you start
control.
filming.
But stressing about something that's not even started filming yet is like we can't be doing that.
Caitlin, I was stressing. I can't even. I stress about everything they do now because I've lost confidence in like the 10 out of 10 delivery. So everything they do makes me nervous.
Well, and on that lovely note, guys, we are going to wrap this episode of Sisters Scoop. Join us next week as we cover 3 more Marvel news topics of the week. And of course, on the podcast side, we are covering Wonder Man. It did just drop, so make sure you guys are watching it. So far, it's super good. So go ahead, watch all of the episodes because they all are out at once, and then come back and listen to our podcast episodes and look at our socials as we are reacting to it. But we'll see you guys next week. Bye.